Hello and welcome to The Drug Trip. This channel is here to feed the curiosity of those who would like to gain an insight to the effects of various drugs and substances through user experiences and stories, with our main goal being to entertain and reduce harm and abuse. We post regular trip reports every few days, so if you do enjoy these, we would really appreciate it if you subscribed. And more importantly, we love to hear our viewers' thoughts, opinions and experiences, so please leave something for us in the comment section and we may use it in a future video. Enjoy and be safe. For the past several days, I had been unsuccessfully searching for Mimosa hostilis root bark at many of the local head shops. During this search, one of the store clerks mentioned salvia. This stuck in the back of my mind, but I had mostly dismissed it as a substance I was not interested in, and had assumed it was just a cheap, legal high, and at best, you may get a buzz from the smoke. Well, I was so wrong, and I was in for a surprise. I decided, out of curiosity, to try it, so off to the head shop I went, and I got a 1 gram vial of 15 times strength. It was around 3:30 in the afternoon, and I was cooking dinner, and having read up a little on the duration of the effects, I decided that I could easily smoke a bowl before eating and going out for the evening. Thinking that I had better not try a strong dose, I removed around 1/4 of the vial, which is around 1/4 of a gram, and packed it into a tinfoil pipe. Please note that I had 15x and not 5x. I turned off the stove and placed the dinner pot aside. I lit some incense and closed the blinds. I moved a very sharp and potentially dangerous sculpture out of the living room where I had intended to do the trip. I even locked my cat in the bedroom, just so that I would not be disturbed. I also turned my phone off. To set the mood, I chose to play a track from Dreamtime Didgeridoo. I've often liked listening to the tribal sounds of didgeridoos, and have had good experiences and insights on other substances while doing so. I live in a small apartment. My living room area is a couch that runs the whole length of the side wall. I have a coffee table in the centre of the room, and I have my 40-inch LCD television on the wall. The television is hooked up to a computer, so it displays the GeForce Visual plugin for Windows Media Player. With the incense lit, the music on, and the visuals running, I sat on the couch and prepared to smoke my pipe load. My intentions were simple, and my expectations were, well, rather ignorant. I wanted to trip, and I expected very little to happen. At best, I thought I may sit in front of the television to have some mild visual distortions. I expected it to be like mushrooms or LSD with a short duration. So, sitting comfortably, I took a big hit. I held the tin for around 10 to 15 seconds, exhaled, and I took another hit. I reached forward to put the pipe down, and then, boom. In an instant, I was gone. I don't know where I was, what I was, how I got there, or how I could get back, or even where back was. I didn't know what I was. It's hard to describe being completely divorced from one's ego. Judging by my aftermath, I was able to piece together what likely happened. As I leaned forward to put the pipe down, I may have tried to stand or perhaps just fell over. Ash from the pipe was on the table, and the pipe was found by the TV. It's likely I never managed to let go of it. I was now laying on the floor, and judging by the slight rug burn on my face, I must have hit it with some force. As I lay there, I felt as if I was being ripped apart. It was physically and spiritually painful, like a piece of paper going through a paper shredder. To use that analogy, the blades of the shredder were like cylindrical, multicoloured objects bleeding out from the infinitesimally thin shell of my torn body. The paper trap was like a black hole of sorts, and I was falling into it, over and over and over again. And I really want to stress this, the shift in geometric space was profound. There was a sense of infinite space. It was timeless, shapeless, and sucking me towards it. There was a linear 2D space, which was the shell of my body, the shell that I had kept falling out of. And lastly, there was a 3D space. The 3D space was what my shell was being ripped into, and could be described as wrapping around the rim of the infinite space. I felt as if my shell of a body was being torn open, and my soul was going to roll out, only to have the soul become the shell and rip apart again. This was a tumbling and very disorienting feeling. I kept rolling over and over. It was painful. And after what seemed like an eternity, I began to feel like I needed to get up. I felt as if I were on the ground. I knew I was being sucked, rolled and split open in a definite direction, and that direction was down. I struggled to get up, and the pain from being ripped apart was radiating from my face. During this struggle, I could hear someone calling me into the void, while my mother was crying for me on the other side of it. Images and memories of childhood flashed through my mind, and I felt as if I may have died. There was a horrible noise all around me. The drone of the didgeridoos were overwhelming and compounding that tearing feeling. I fought with all my might to get back to reality. Finally, I could stand, and my body was nearly whole again. I realised the horrible noise was actually the music, and I found myself standing in front of the television with the remote in my hand. I was saying to it, "Off," while trying to push the power button. This was all that existed: my hand, the ripping noise, the remote, and that power button. Unfortunately, the TV is not hooked up to the speakers, and I could never actually turn off the music by turning off the TV. I finally realised this and turned off the speakers. And at this point in time, things were very frightening. I still could not rationalise what happened. I had a horrible taste in my mouth, and the room had a horrible smell to it. I managed to get to the bathroom and started to wash my face. As I leaned forward to wash my face, I felt as if I was about to fall down the drain. I needed to drink water to get rid of the taste in my mouth, struggling to maintain myself as I did this. My skin felt like 1,000 whirlpools spinning around. The effect was all around me. The walls, the floor, everything began to have their proper 3D place in the world, but it was not stable. Nearly panicked, I lay down on my bed. The sheets wanted to consume me, so I stood back up again. I washed my face again. I drank more water. I began to think I had been screaming at the top of my lungs the whole time I was on the floor. I wondered if the neighbours had heard this. I wondered if somebody had called the police. Honestly, I wanted someone to come and save me. I thought I had gone mad and that I would never return to normal. Although eventually everything did return to normal. The whole experience had been less than 15 minutes, the worst of it perhaps only 1 or 2, and I never realised that an instant could last an eternity. And as an insight, the element of the trip where my mother was calling my back was insightful. I seldom see her, having been away from home and out of state since I was 19. I know it's very painful for her to have her eldest son so far removed from her life. It's as painful for me as well, but I simply accept it as part of life. This hardship truly reared its head during this trip. And in conclusion, salvia is no joke. It's not just some bullshit legal high, it must be respected. And I would recommend a sitter. I wish I had one at the time. I went from sitting to A, and yes, it was dangerous. A being amnesic effects, loss of consciousness. The individual may fall or remain immobile or thrash around. This can be dangerous. And would I do it again? Yes, but at a much lower dose. So, good luck to you all in your exploration. I hope this account will prove useful to somebody. Please do not make the same mistakes as I did. And as a closing note, an instant can indeed last an eternity, so make it a good one.